Hi, everyone. So first of all, thank you for the opportunity to giving this talk. So the topic will be about mathematical modeling of emotions, and the outline will be as follows. First, so I will start with a general introduction. So what's the point of this one is to say that, well, in fact, emotions are ubiquitous. So it will be quite general. And then I will present some approaches from dynamical systems to represent emotions. And then finally, I will summarize some projects going on, funded projects uh, that go from measures, different measures that we can have, and all the way toward mathematical representations and in the context of the modeling of emotions. So, first of all, what drives us? What's the point of this slide? Uh, is that as a mathematician, it's not usual to try to model emotions. So in math, we have either, in general, we classify math into two big sections, uh, pure math or applied math. When you do pure math, well, you have your axioms, and you try to deduce things. And when you do applied math, so in general, you have equations that come from applications. And the very classical topic from which equations come from are physics, right? You have Newton's law, Einstein's relativity. Um, you have also equations for chemistry, and now so uh, from biology. But so emotions are not part of a classical field for mathematical modeling. However, in fact, they are part of our daily lives. So in a daily basis, you will have thousands or millions of thoughts, and also you will feel a lot of things. You come, you take the subway from home to work. A lot of things happens, and a lot of things happen in your in your thoughts and in your emotional mind. So those are facts, and if they are facts, we can study that and we can try, we will see, to put math in it. In fact, emotions have been studied from forever and in scientific, modern science also. And, um, and so that's the point of this general introduction, which is not usual for us mathematicians. Right. So, as I said, emotions are daily experimental living evidence. There are actually movies about it, and so we'll go back to the psychology researchers, psychological researchers have classified now quite long time ago, but it remains like the standard for in society. You have main emotions like sadness, fear, anger, happiness, and those are actually taught to us from a very early age. And so I remember even my kids, uh, when they tried to learn English, they went to like some classes, and they used to learn that song. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And so from the beginning, they try educational tries to educate you about recognizing uh, what do you feel. There is also this very classical experiment where kids are left alone with some candies, and they test uh, their ability to not eat for rewarding. So they are put in a room and with a candy, and the people say, so if you don't eat right now, when I come back, you will get another one. And some kids eat it, and some other wait to have two. Actually, there was some also statistical, recent statistical studies would try to go further with this kind of modeling, but I won't go into that. Uh, okay, let's continue with this general introduction and saying that it's very general. So actually, there are in all societies, so there are laws in every society, and often you have to behave. So your behavior has to be in phase with society, or if it's not, depending, worst case, you can go to jail, or well, so this is complicated, but uh, people have dealt with the theorization of emotions forever. So here I just pull up some known figures of humanity. So from before Christ, in China, with Confucius, Plato, for a Greek philosopher, a Persian philosopher, and more recently Benjamin Franklin in the U.S. And all these people dealt with emotions, and basically what's right, what's wrong, and what do you have to do uh, if you choose the Greek philosopher to be better, something like that. So, but they deal with some of theorization of emotions and their control, or uh, there are also other philosophers that will say, no, if you want to be happy, well, you have to do whatever you want. And okay, but every uh, every society has the possibility and have theorists that uh, had theories about how do you deal with your emotions. So this has been forever. So more recently, and so of course, I'm trying to say things that will have some relevance for our further mathematical models. And one of interest, in the 20th century comes with Freud, known as one the father of the psychiatry. And so his model had some particularities. Uh, for example, he has unconscious and conscious parts of the self, meaning that um, you have pulses, but that might be unconscious. And at some point, if you have some stimuli, then those pulses can uh, arise, and they can arise even you think it's not right, uh, the society thinks you don't right, and then you have some this kind of conflicts. For example, for Freud, your superego is basically educated by the social environment, and this says how you have to control your emotions. So, but what's about now? So, what's the science today? So, um, a real critical thing is related to science is technology. It's now we have more measures. So, since we have more measures, we can have more, let's say, hard science, a more objective, a more uh, factual measure of things in general. Now we know DNA, we know biochemistry, we know electromagnetism, and those from those we have experiments that we can prove physically things. Um, and with that, people who study emotions, um, so mainly psychologists at the beginning, but with the advances of neuroscience, biochemistry, of course, we got more insights about what's an emotion for the body. Let's start with neuroscience. Of course, I can't and I don't know all. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a psychologist, but those are general facts that will serve for our mathematical descriptions. So I just say some facts, but I made choices. Let's talk about neuroscience and some evidence that uh, brought uh, that so some facts that brought evidence that the brain, of course, was involved in emotions. And so the first thing is the clever Bussy syndrome, when Clover and Bussy removed parts of the temporal lobe of monkeys, and what they observed, which were not their hypotheses, but they observed that in fact monkeys had a strange behavior, uh, emotional, sexual, eating disorders. So yeah, they observed that in the monkeys from from which they they took some part of their brains, temporal lobes. And another case, a very well-known case, is the SM case. He's a woman, and she has a disease, and with this disease, the amygdala in the brain doesn't work properly, and so she doesn't feel fear uh, because of this disease. And actually, she had some troubles in her life because she will put herself in some dangerous situations. And this was evidence that amygdala was involved in the production of the feeling of fear. And so later, now, so we know that neurons process information, memory. And so there have been evidence has been building that amygdala is a big center of emotions and fear in particular. And so, uh, yeah, there's been a lot of evidence. Here are some papers that illustrate the knowledge about how neural networks are involved in the processing of fear in particular. So this is a big field, and as a parenthesis, uh, and I will come back to that a little bit. Uh, of course, we have mathematical models for neurons, so and we can build neuronal equations, networks of equations for neural networks, and so we can try to simulate this kind of things, so in silico models. But those are neuroscience papers. Okay, what about psychology? Uh, uh, I want to emphasize some psychological theories. So the first one is the discrete emotion theory. So it goes back to the paper of Ekman and Friesen in 1971. And so they went to Guinea and they work with some autochthones. They were not used to, they were not connected to the rest of the world, and but they studied and they were able to prove that they felt the same emotions uh, as we feel. So the point was to say that emotions are universal and do not depend on society. So you have universal uh, emotions, and that includes disgust, fear, happiness, joy, and anger. Another theory that will be useful for us is the dimensional theory. Is that well, you can have the discrete emotions, but you have also other characteristics for emotions. So you can then build the n-dimensional uh, space with certain characteristics. For example, typically you can have valence is a is an emotion positive or negative, and intensity. And you can go like that and on a circle for or with you can put your emotions. Another theory in psychology that is useful is the affective event theory, which says that so you live your life and there are events, and these events will trigger some emotions within yourself. And so that's a dynamical process. And if you think about dynamical process, well, you think about dynamical systems, right? All right. Uh, so so this is a very large domain, and so uh, biochemistry is a fascinating field of study. And you can put also math in that. So I won't go through that, but we had to mention it. So of course, emotions have been related to the biochemistry of the body. And for example, I summarize, but those so I make the connection with some molecules, and they are known relationship with some emotions. So dopamine with pleasure or reward, GABA, which is an inhibitor with anti-anxiety, serotonin with self-confidence, and adrenaline, which makes you feel alive. Um, all right, so yeah, this is a very large domain, and I think I'm going to finish this first part, but I wanted to finish it I wanted to pull up some standard questionnaire um, for testing depression. So first, uh, because, well, we try to have measures, but uh, what we feel, it's not quite easy to have a direct mapping with some measures and what you feel exactly, right? Uh, so even for depression, everybody knows. I mean, roughly, if you feel depressed, you know what it is. You felt it. However, it's not easy to have a precise measure of it. So here is the test that psychiatrists uh, do when, among other things, when they want to characterize clinically people with depression. And I can read it for you. Uh, Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? Little interest or pleasure in doing things, feeling down, depressed, or hopeless, trouble falling or staying asleep or sleeping too much, feeling tired or having little energy, poor appetite, feeling bad about yourself, and so on and so forth. And on this one, um, you have 9 questions and you have a score between 0 and 3. So finally, you get a score between 0 and 27. And this is now a score, a number that you can treat as a data. So even if we don't have a real direct measure, we can do questionnaires based on what people feel to get some data about it. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say in the first part, which was the general introduction of the talk. And now we will go to the part 2.